And we are live, guys. Women of High Value channel. Welcome for live session from Oslo, Norway, where I'm going to talk about boys that let you down. Now, this is a recurring theme that happens again and again and again. And I'm just going to briefly explain 3 categories where boys will let you down. That's why I don't recommend that you date boys at all. You should be dating a man who has managed to overcome his issues in those 3 categories that I'm going to share with you. And those categories and those problems that would be there if you basically start dating an immature boy, they should not be there when you start dating the more mature man. And the only way that he can overcome himself in those areas is through him having a work ethic, a willingness to learn, and a mentor that helps him to get to the next level. So, what are the 3 categories? Well, I do not include physical attributes here because that's something that is visible to the eye. That's something that you can see for yourself and see that you're attracted to him. So, he can't really let you down in terms of his physical attributes because you can see that, he's real and he's got muscles or he doesn't have muscles or he's attractive or he's not attractive. So you can figure that one out. But those 3 that I'm talking about, first of all, is where he's fake or where something happens that wasn't supposed to happen because you didn't know something about him. In those categories, I've termed emotional letdowns, financial letdowns, and sexual letdowns. Let's first start with the emotional letdown that boys normally have. If you date a 14-year-old boy, or 15, 16, 17, no matter the age, most probably he will not understand women. Most boys that age never even have a conversation with their father about masturbation. Most of these kids are have no idea that women are different than men, other than their physical attributes and that they're attracted to them. Boys don't understand that the female psyche is completely different than that of their own. So they basically just try to figure out, how can I get this girl to like me? How can I get her to do more sexual things with me than she's comfortable with doing at this age? That's the only thing they're thinking about. They're growing so rapidly themselves in their puberty stage with the fact that they're getting taller, they're growing more muscles, their voice changes. There's a lot of things happening with boys at this time, so they don't really have capacity to learn about women and how they work, even though that's one of the things that they should learn the fastest about from their fathers. But their fathers very often don't know either. So how will an immature boy let you down? Well, first of all, he's gonna blame you for things that you do or don't do. So, for example, if you don't want him to touch you different places, he's gonna basically blame you that, you're this and that, and that's why you don't want to go further with me. Or he's gonna blame you by saying, you're so stupid, or basically, if anything goes wrong in your relationship, he's gonna blame you, be upset with you, and you're not gonna understand why, and you're gonna try and figure it out. And at this point in time, this is like operating with a woman. Because men don't have up and down emotions like that. Let me give you an example. When I was 18 years old, I'm talking 18 years old, okay? I was still immature. I thought I was mature. I was a senior in high school. And I had my high school sweetheart at that time. And she was so kind, so understanding. And I didn't eat properly during that time. The only time I really ate was for breakfast, and basically the I was an exchange student, and the exchange family that I was living at, I just ate breakfast and I was gone for the rest of the day. So I just ate their food, and then for the rest of the day, pretty much I didn't eat much other than like McDonald's or Burger King or whatever. And so she had to feed me. And when she hadn't fed me, then during that time of the day, like I would get grumpy. Like, and it had nothing, I didn't think it had anything to do with food, but of course it had to do with food. And I was grumpy and I was blaming her, and I was basically saying that I don't know why I'm upset or just not myself, but it's just because I hadn't eaten any food. And so I would blame her. And that was very immature of me, because I should have been thinking about my own nutrition, my own nourishment, and that I should feed myself instead of blaming her for not making me food or blaming her for whatever else was going on because I was just grumpy and hungry. Or, what is it? Hangry or whatever it is. Anyway, that's just an example. 18 years old, and I couldn't figure it out at that time either. I didn't know why I was upset, but it was because I was hungry. Another one is arguing. Immature boys will let you down by basically arguing with you if you disagree on something. Like, that doesn't make any sense, to argue with a woman, because arguing with a woman will make her always escalate things further, unless she's heavily unburdened and basically submits to you immediately. But that's not normal. Girls very often are right, and so they will escalate in order to get their point across. An immature boy will let you down by escalating with you past your escalation, which then makes you escalate even more. And then he escalates even more until you basically burst out crying because you can't believe that you guys are fighting this intensely, and you're crying and you're going home and slamming the door in your bedroom and all those things that happen. Like, it's simply because of him. It's because he's an immature boy. It has nothing to do with you. And then he gives you the silent treatment. Do you understand what I mean? Like, you can avoid this by not dating them at all during your teenage years. I'll move on. He basically rejects you when you tell him about your problems. You tell him about your problems that you have with your other girlfriends. You tell him about problems that you're having at home or with your parents or something like that. Then a boy will basically let you down by not being a girl. He's feminine because he's immature, but he still is not a girl. And you're communicating to him as if he was a girl. Men are good at finding solutions to problems, but very often when you talk to a guy, you don't want him to find a solution for you. You just want him to listen and understand and give you a hug and say everything's going to be okay, which is what women naturally do. But if you date a guy and you're very close with him, an immature boy, then you're going to try to share stuff with him and he's not going to understand how to help you. And then we get the escalation part again. Do you understand? Like, it's more important for you to spend time with other girls during this time phase in your life as a teenager, but also later in life. When you have issues or struggles or whatever it is, try to work them out and have girls listen to you, or even better, your parents. Talk to your parents. If they're not around, then find someone else that you can talk to, that you can just be open and honest with and just share everything that you trust wholeheartedly. And most probably it's not one of the immature boys. So that's the emotional letdowns. And when it comes to financial letdowns, when you start dating a guy, an immature boy, he's going to basically fake things, or things are going to seem real in your head, but they're not. And that's basically that if he has a motorcycle, you think that he has money. If he has a fancy car, you think he has money. And you're basically enjoying, the power that he has because he's got status, because he has a car, a motorcycle, whatever it is. But he's still an immature boy. And he's still going to like the only thing that he's thinking about is getting inside your pants very often, and so he's gonna basically show off things. He's gonna have label clothing, he's gonna be cool, he's gonna be all that stuff, but it's just a facade. It's fake, because it's not his money, it's his parents' money. And if his parents are giving him tons of that stuff without him basically needing to do anything for it, it's fake. He didn't earn it. He didn't grow. He didn't learn over time and get experience from rejection and from working with people, or from establishing a business, or from working hard in order to get the stuff that he has, most probably. Now, do your own research on if he is an immature boy when it comes to the financial aspects, but that's why I recommend that women wait until they're 16, 17, 18 years old and date older boys, maybe age 22, 25, in conjunction and selection with your parents. Because by that time, maybe he will actually be in a, financially stable and have all the things that he's supposed to have in time to basically handle you and also be real. There are guys out there, now they're far and few between, but the probability that the immature guy that you're dating in high school or wherever it is that you're dating, that it's fake, is very high the younger he is and the more immature he is. So that's a lesson that we can learn. Also, women of all ages, that very often he might be massively in debt. So be wise when you think he's rich, but he's probably not. And also, you shouldn't believe that you will get tons of money or tons of opportunity or tons of benefits from him being rich, because he might not even want to share that with you. So that will be a financial letdown as well if you believe that he's rich and you think you're going to get something from him. Does that make sense? So that's a financial letdown of immature boys. And the last one is the sexual letdown. Now, the first one is obvious, which is basically that you're together with him and then he cheats. Basically, he breaches the trust between you guys, and from that moment on, most girls manage to cut things off, and they basically let him go on his own way and don't want to have anything to do with him. Yet, they become very heartbroken, and that has a massive imprint in their system that causes them to maybe do more stupid things in the future. Because you get the tagline from other women out there who say, what the fastest way to get over a guy is to get under another one. But that's not a wise strategy. That's the strategy that feminists use and women who basically have lots of sexual partners use. So that is a letdown that you could avoid by simply not having sexual relations with immature boys, because that will cause you to, in the end, have more and more sexual partners over time, because you're trying to get over the past one because he cheated or because whatever. And I guess the last one that I want to share is the sexual letdown of premature ejaculation. That is so normal when it comes to teenage boys. Immature boys who have no idea what they're doing, and they're so excited about having sex with you or about doing more and more and more and more things with you than they should be doing, because they're not capable of providing for you. They're not able to understand you emotionally. They don't care about all this stuff. They just want to do what they're programmed to do by nature, and that is to reproduce, to have sex with you. And if you know that, you can safeguard yourself, and with the use of and help of your parents to guide you and set guidelines for what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, in terms of making sure that you don't go to drinking parties and you basically, I don't want to drink, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to have any stimulants in my system, I don't want to get any tattoos, I don't want to get any of that stuff that basically increases the probability of you accepting an immature boy in your life because you're turned on by him and you want to do what he wants to do because you think that's how you're going to get him. So premature ejaculation sucks because It basically means that he ejaculates before you even get into it. And that is something that you would think older guys have solved, but that is not something that is solved from guys who have more sexual experience. That is something that is solved from actually learning from someone who knows ejaculation control and who has taught them, or they've been reading heavily on it for a long time and then practicing the stuff that they're actually learning. Immature boys don't have that. So you end up being heavily disappointed the first time you're having sex, or maybe the following times. It's not going to be a beautiful experience that you think it's going to be, unless, with the guidance of your parents, and you do it at a later point with someone that you know actually is able to. Now, every guy will say that he doesn't have that problem, but most guys do. So how do you know? How do you know that you will not be let down? How can you find a man that will not let you down? Well, they're very few and far between, unfortunately. Now, we're going to change that with my Men of High Value channel. We're only at 253 subscribers right now, but we're growing. It's like 4 new subscribers every single day. And if I can train them up, they're the best place where you will find a guy. Not necessarily from finding them in the comment section, okay? But from them having gone through my training systems. I will train them on all of this stuff. I will train them on business, finances. I will train them on understanding the woman and emotional, that aspect of things, and understanding how women are different to men and how they respond to different things. I want to and I will create courses that help them to overcome ejaculation control and overcoming porn and masturbation and all those things that guys are doing. All of that I'm doing for you guys. And that's why you should subscribe and like this channel, because I'm doing it for you. And we're going to build this up slowly but surely, and even if it takes 5 years, where you prepare yourself for 5 years to just make sure, I just want a high value man. I just want a guy that won't let me down. I just want a guy that basically improves continuously and has a massive work ethic and willingness to learn, and learning from a mentor. The probability of my happiness, your happiness at that time, skyrockets through the roof compared to a young girl who's 14 years old and she has a 16-year-old boyfriend who wants to get in her pants, and then she allows him to because she doesn't have this channel. And then her the cycle starts of her dating immature boys, and then he rejects her maybe, or she rejects him because he ends up becoming more and more feminine and desperate and needy, and then finds another guy. Like that cycle of high school sweethearts and all that stuff that comes with the sexuality and all. I promise you don't want to go through that. You want to go through your teenage years making sure that you protect yourself, you protect your sanity, and you protect your sexuality from guys that only have that one thing in mind. This is the Women of High Value channel. I hope you get some value from this, and I'll see you again tomorrow.